Welcome to MI Magazine presents Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, relationships, mental health, and food. Our weekly guest hosts are Christie Grace Chambers, Carla Hill, Dr. Delvina Thomas, and Chef Irene. Now introducing our host, Miss Nicky, Gelin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to MIA Magazine presents. So, I'm your host, Nicky Gelin. If this is your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. This is actually our 11th episode. So if you've missed our past episodes, visit our Facebook page. We're also on YouTube as well. So we're here to bring you Black news, Black entertainment right here within South Florida. And speaking about South Florida, I do want to congratulate Joe Biden. He actually won, we all know by now. But I want to kind of talk about South Florida because I just want to say that the more north you go in Florida, the more south it becomes culturally. You get what I'm saying? Just ponder on that for a minute. So South Florida culturally is a bit different than North Florida. So just think about that for a second. So Joe Biden, he won 290 electoral votes. I mean, he only needed 270, and he won the popular vote by over 77 million. So that's about 6 million more than Trump. So I'm excited. I voted the second day of early voting. I am so happy, and I'm ready to see what this administrative department does. So again, congrats. So you may be kind of thinking about, oh my goodness, what should I do next week? What is happening next week? Well, the Miami Book Fair, it's coming again. It starts November 15th through the 22nd. I've actually been in the past, and I've been in person, obviously, and it's a great event. I've learned about so many different authors, writers, and everything of that sort. But because of the pandemic, this year it will be online. So just just Google Miami Book Fair. You can stream it live in your bed, on your couch. You can look up your favorite author, grab a glass of wine, get some popcorn, and you're good to go. And speaking of the Miami Book Fair, this segment, it's about discovering the powerful voices of women. So we have two powerful voices, two featured guests tonight. One is an authorist. You know, I got that from Girlfriends from Maya, but one's an authorist, and the other, she is an international jazz vocalist. So you don't want to miss it. I have a couple of questions, so stay tuned. Now, in the meantime, I want to pass it over to my first co-host, the wonderful Christie Grace Chamber. She is a personal shopper, a stylist. You can catch her on NBC 6's Six in the Mix. So, Christie, what is going on, girl?
Hey, Nikki. Happy 11th episode. I can't believe it's our 11th episode on November 11. 11.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so tonight I just want to remind people of how to do an effective closet clean out. So I'm not talking about shopping or any fashion today. I'm talking about what you have in your own closet. Now, here are I Am Chic's, Christie has it covered, steps to an effective closet clean out. Number one, ask yourself, does it fit? Now, Nikki, you know I always talk about fit, so that should not be a surprise. So if you can't get it fixed with alterations, toss it. It needs to go. Step number two, does this have any stains or ravels or rips? Are your shoe heels just all damaged? If it just looks bad, toss it. You can do better than that. Number three, ask yourself if you would buy it again now. Think about when you're in a dressing room and something looks great on you. What do? You probably are like, ooh, this looks good. Like, I want to wear this out, you know, like when we were kids and wore our shoes out of the store. So if the item doesn't make you feel like, hey, when you're trying it on at home in your own closet, then you probably wouldn't buy it now, right? So
Right.
question number 4 is, does it represent me now? So what that means is if you bought something in 2002 and you were like a supervisor and now you're a VP, so you need to look the part, right? So those things may not represent you now.
Right.
Then the final, Nikki, is, was this a gift or is this a t-shirt? Because I have to tell you, when I work with my clients, the biggest space waster I see are t-shirts. You don't need that many t-shirts, right? You need a statement t-shirt, 1 or 2, maybe from your school, other meaningful t-shirts, but you don't have to have every 5K t-shirt that you run unless you plan to do something with them, like make a quilt. But let me tell you, all these tips are on my website at iamchic.net.
Okay, so Christy, so for me with a fit, so if I have like clothing in my closet and it no longer fits because maybe I gained some weight, it's kind of inspiration and motivation for me to get back down to that size. So should they still maybe hold on to it for inspiration, just to maybe fit in it again?
My recommendation is, if it's one size away, you can hold on to some of those items if they meet the other criteria. But if it's more than one size away and it's been that way for over a year, then I would claim the size that you are now. That's my tip.
And one last thing. So with the whole t-shirt, the big oversized t-shirt, I kind of sleep in those. I don't know if it's like TMI, but what's your take on that?
Well, hey, I'm all for you wearing the things in your closet and drawers. So if you wear the t-shirts, I'm okay. But I have clients who have t-shirts, or had, because I help them get rid of them, who have t-shirts stacked for days and haven't worn them in 10, 12 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, 10, 12 years. Yeah, get rid of it. Okay. Well, Christy, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. And now to my next co-host. She is our board certified psychiatrist. She's also the host of the Brain Love podcast. So Dr. Delvina, what is on your mind tonight? I'm on the couch, girl.
Okay, well, see, you got to wait for me to ask you if you're ready to take the couch.
I'm ready to take the couch.
It's all good. Happy 11th episode on 11/11, as Christy just pointed out. And we know today is Veterans Day as well. So happy Veterans Day to all my veterans out there. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you have done for our country, and those who continue to serve, what you continue to do for us. So, Nikki, if it's okay, I just wanted to go over a couple of resources and just talk about our veterans for a second, a couple of minutes, because they don't get the shine that they deserve.
Right. Go ahead, girl. It's all your mic.
So we got to do this. No one is left behind. No veteran is left behind. So guys watching or who will watch later, allow me to give you your first resource. The National Veterans Foundation is 888-777-4443. That's 888-777-4443. We know that veterans are higher risk for a lot of different mental health disorders, including substance abuse. A lot of veterans suffer from 3 main mental health problems. They suffer from things like PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, as well as TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. And someone who has endured a traumatic brain injury is at higher risk of developing PTSD. So if you're living with a veteran and that person seems to be disconnected, they're not talking much, because most veterans, and especially combat veterans who've been to combat, who've seen some very traumatic experiences during their time downrange, they may not feel comfortable sharing those memories with family members or significant others or loved ones. So it's important that you encourage them to seek treatment, to either go to the VA and get registered, because most veterans, as long as you have an honorable discharge from the military, you qualify, and even other than honorable discharges, you qualify to utilize the services at the VA. And the VA has done a pretty good job in trying to pivot, although it's COVID-19 out here. We have some additional funding that was released to the Veterans Affairs. And sometimes when they're oversaturated or they have too many patients or the waiting list is long, they're able to refer folks out into the community to private practitioners like myself and other mental health professionals. So you gotta be forceful with your veteran. You gotta encourage them to use the services, guys, because there are certain barriers that veterans can face. Sometimes they have personal embarrassment about their service-related disabilities. They're embarrassed to go. They don't want to. They often cite long wait times to receive their mental health treatment. They also have shame over needing to seek mental health treatment. You know, soldiers and sailors and airmen, they consider themselves to be most fit, you know, mentally fit, physically fit. So when they're not able to see themselves as being fit any longer, they start to feel a little bit of shame. And some of them also fear being seen as weak. And of course, there's that old usual dirty word, stigma. So there is that stigma that's associated with mental health issues. And lastly, there's a lack of understanding of the awareness of mental health. And so if you know a veteran out there who's struggling, please share that information with them. I'll give the phone number again. It's 888-777-4443. And there's also the suicide prevention hotline. That's 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255. And there's also a hotline for homeless veterans. That number is 877-424-3838. So again, homeless veterans, you can call 877-424-3838 and receive services. Nicky, I know I did most of the talking, but I appreciate you being on the couch and listening to me. This time is kind of the opposite. Usually I'm listening. So thank you for listening. And brain love.
No, thank you for your info. And we do want to thank you for your services as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll see you next week. And now to my next co-host. He is a personal chef, a private chef. You can catch him on Taste the Islands. And it's the wonderful Chef Irie. So first off, what cocktail do we have tonight? What's going on tonight?
Well, hello to you, Nikki. How is everybody? I'm good. And yes, I have a cocktail. Yes. And, you know, I had to make it look nice and sexy today. You know, I got garnishes today. Yes. As opposed to just slapping it in a glass. So what do I have today? I have a pumpkin pineapple smash. That's what I have, and it's made with rum. Yes, you know, of course, you know, I love rum. But I'm not actually here to just talk about this pumpkin pineapple smash, which is actually very good, I might add. Yes. But but you know, we go out and, you know, we have happy hour, we meet with friends, and we have cocktails. But, you know, but real quickly, you know, where does that come from? You know, and so I'm going to ask you, what is a cocktail, Nikki?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so to me, a cocktail is it's a mixture of some kind of spirit with a non-spirit blend.
Okay, good start. Yes, good start. So, of course, you know, there's stories about, you know, where the word cocktail and actual cocktail and where it derived from, and so we go back as far back as 1798, where the actual word itself was found in print. But the actual definition was in 1806. And so someone actually posed the same question I just posed to you. What is a cocktail? In an article in the US. And the person that wrote the piece responded to the individual. It's a drink made with spirits, water, sugar, and bitters.
Okay, I think I got it right. Okay, go ahead.
So nowadays, you know, cocktails have evolved over the years, and you know, one of the your most famous cocktail is a classic cocktail that represents exactly that, is the Manhattan. So, you know, you can have a bourbon or a rum Manhattan, and it's basically, you know, muddled sugar with water You get the bourbon or rum, a little club soda, and a lime orange twist. There you go. That's your Manhattan. But stories of how the actual word, quickly, from bartenders that they would stir cocktail with an actual cock's tail. That's one. And the original one was horses. To get horses to look, bright and full of energy, what they would do is inject or put ginger or pepper in the horse's behind, so his tail
What?
stand up, so he looks nice and perky. So as to whether that's actually true or not, that's what it is, and that's the story we are sticking with. So so a lot of us, we go out and we are out, in bars and restaurants, and the way cocktails have evolved, after, for a period of time back in the early 20s, when prohibition was there, the cocktail died down because they had to sell liquor, so now, we're in the time frame of crafted cocktails and mixologists. And one of the cool things about cocktails now is that cocktails are taking on a lot of the personality of the kitchen. So you're finding a lot of cocktails are being made with savory ingredients. So one of the weirdest cocktails I ever had was in New York, and it was flavored with goat fat.
Oh, goat.
Yes. But I tell you, it was an awesome drink. So just so you guys are out there enjoying your cocktails, at least you get a little better understanding where the word came from, why it came to be, and do a little research on some of your favorite drinks, how they're made, so you get a better understanding of how to appreciate your cocktail. Yes. So that is from me, from the chef's table. If you want this recipe, you can check me, chefirie.com. Yes. I will hook it up for you, and anything else you want to know. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving, entrees and sides. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your
Salud.
pumpkin spice November cocktail. And now the moment I've been waiting for. So we'll be talking to one of our first featured guests. She is the best-selling author for Cinderella Is Dead, and we'll be sharing at next week's Miami Book Fair online. So Kalynn Bayron, hi. Thank you for being our guest tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just trying to we had a flood situation down here in South Florida. So yeah, I was kind of stuck the past couple of days. How was your neck of the woods?
It's all right. It's Texas,
Okay, it's Texas. Well, I don't know much about Texas, but okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. So you are a classically trained vocalist and also an authoress as well. So which came first, the vocalist or being an author?
Music is my first love. I've always loved music. I've always wanted to be a singer. That was the first thing I ever really wanted to do. But I think music is, it's another medium for storytelling. So I think the shift into being an author was a pretty natural progression for me.
And when did you make the shift?
I would say, so I didn't really start writing as a career goal until I was in my early 30s. But I wrote my first book when I was 19, just to see if I could do it. And it was a terrible book. It was awful. But, I finished it, and it let me know that I could do this. And then life kind of happened, and then I circled back around to it later. So it's been a journey.
Okay, so your book, Cinderella Is Dead, will be featured in Miami's book fair next year. So tell us about the inception of Cinderella Is Dead. So
Cinderella Is Dead is I like to it's called a retelling, but I like to describe it as a remix. It's not really a beat for beat retelling of Cinderella, but it's a story that at its core centers Black girls. And in this story, they are fighting against an oppressive patriarchy and heteronormative societal expectations. So all of which is kind of wrapped in this very dark fairy tale setting, and a reimagining that kind of deconstructs the Cinderella story. But all of that comes directly from a lack of representation in fairy tales. So I loved fairy tales as a kid. I loved Disney movies that came up in the 80s and early 90s when Disney princesses were kind of at their peak.
Yeah.
And I just never saw any Black girls. There was never anyone there who looked like me. And so when I sat down to write Cinderella Is Dead, I knew I wanted to take this thing that was very visible, this princess story, but still felt really inaccessible to me, and make it more accessible and just something that my younger self would have been proud of. So that's kind of where it started for me.
Okay, so let me just ask really quick and let me know if we should read the book and find out. But does she get her glass slipper in the end?
It's, so the glass slippers are in the story, but probably not in the way that you think. So yes, you gotta go read it.
Gotta get the book. Okay.
Gotta go pick it up.
Awesome. Okay, and how can we find you during the Miami Book Fair? Like, how can we find your book, or what should we look for?
So I have everything on my website. All that information is there. It is KalynBayron.com. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Kalynn Bayron. So I'll be posting all that information, and you can go on my website and find links to buy the book and to the events at Miami Book Fair, and all of that's there.
Awesome. Well, Kalynn, thank you so much. I hope the Texas weather is really nice. Happy fall.
Thank you.
Good luck next week, and congrats.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Have a good night. And now to our second featured guest. She is a most acclaimed jazz vocalist. She has traveled internationally. She has been on Broadway. So Nicole Henry.
Hey there. How are you, Nicky?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for being with us tonight.
That's great. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So let's get right into it. So our theme tonight is the most inspirational, powerful women voices. So what or whom inspired or influenced your path into becoming an international jazz vocalist?
I would have to say that it just had to be my parents, my mother, my aunt, uncle, my entire family, my grandparents. They've always encouraged education. They've always encouraged us to just do our best. I mean, my mom always told my sister and I, listen, you guys got to do well in school, because that's what's going to get you a scholarship to college. And, it was always, don't worry about anybody or any man. That's no good for you, because you can do bad on your own, just work hard.
Right.
And so I think, and it wasn't so much about music. It was really just anything we wanted to do. And I never thought that there was something out there that I couldn't do. I didn't necessarily know the pathway to become a singer. I never thought, when I was a kid, I always thought you just got discovered. But as I, was in school and just by asking around, I figured out how to go about creating a music career. But I would say I was my parents and my mom. I don't know how she did it, particularly after my parents got separated when I was around 11. She just worked hard. I mean, 2 and 3 jobs. And now I can really appreciate it so much more. But she raised us, and we never needed or wanted, So just hardworking families.
Well, so me just looking at you, you're an absolutely gorgeous woman of color. And I have to ask you,
You
so
as well.
what are
Thank
some
you.
obstacles you've had to face during your journey being a woman of color? And do you see like any changes, any progression? Like, how has it been for you along your journey?
Oh, that's such a interesting question. It's kind of like when people ask you, how was it growing up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania? And it's like, well, I don't know. I didn't grow up anywhere else to compare it to. So, growing up as a woman of color, again, I just have to give credit to my mom. She never, ever let me think that I was anything less, even though, going to school for the first day, some guy called me and, the N-word on the bus. And it was like, my mom went straight to the principal when he tried to, when I pushed the kid over and sat down in the chair and rode to the bus to school. And then I got, the next day, apparently the principal wanted to put me and the other kid into a detention or whatever it was. And my mom was like, no, she is not, my mom stood up for what was right. And so I can't say that I ever particularly felt that I was being discriminated. Not in the music industry. I actually do have a couple instances when I was in college, actually, where I formally made a couple of reports for 2 teachers that I thought specifically did not give me good grades, even though I know that based on even other students' reaction to my work in my advertising classes, I would get a B- or I would get a C+ for something. And then I was told that they had other complaints as well. So it's wild to think that in the 90s that was, of course, still happening, and it still happens today. But I definitely was raised to say, no, you stand up for yourself and don't put up with anybody's crap. So I can't say that those things ever hindered me, because it was just like, that's their problem. It's not my problem.
I don't think it did. Yes.
Those are their problems. So I have to say, those things never get in the way. Like, I know sometimes, and people might not want to hear this, but even in any kind of music, very often you can look at a jazz singer. I know that there was this whole thing in the early 2000s where you would hear this, a white singer might sound like Billie Holiday, and then she's like famous for that. It's like, well, there's tons of other Black women that sound, amazing as well, but you're not highlighting them. So, but it's, what, life is not fair. And my mom made that, again, completely clear to me. And so it was like, no excuses, so yeah,
so
I have to give a lot of credit to my mom.
You kind of knew up front, and awesome. So you kind of knew up front, and you kind of knew what to expect. So you weren't surprised if it did happen. So your mom set you up to kind of be ready.
She totally
prepared you.
1,000%.
That's awesome.
I can't even, every day I learn more and more about how amazing my mother is. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us about one of your most memorable performances.
There's some funny ones that are hilarious that, like, my band, there was this one time. There's some funny performances and there's memorable performances. So the fun ones, I love to laugh. So I love remembering those. Like when I jumped onto stage, I was in Aspen, Colorado, and we're doing the show. And I have this dress on that has a zipper up back, completely up the back.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes zippers don't get on track all the time when they come from the dry cleaner. Mm-hmm. So let's just say my band saw more of me that night than they had ever seen me. So that was one funny one. And like halfway into the first song, I was like, okay, we'll be right back. I'm going to start this one again. And I just kind of shimmied off stage.
So did you have to hold it up? Did you have to hold up like the top parts?
I just reached around with one hand, and like, cause it was a zipper in the back. So I just kind of reached around with one hand, and like the audience didn't see a thing. I looked back at my guitarist, and he was so red in the face. He was like, he couldn't even look at me. So it was funny because there was
it's unforgettable. Okay.
Exposure. But then I've had some amazing, like, doing the national anthem, for example, at the Orange Bowl, or I think I've performed at that Orange Bowl 3 times, where you have 60,000 people in the stadium, and you are given it. I mean, and it's a cappella too, and so I love that feeling, because then it's just you hear the crowd go roar, So
you're in your element. You're in like your bubble.
And and you got to pump it out. And then, but I'll tell you, there's some intimate moments where it's just a small, sometimes it's a 60-person party, and you're just communicating, and you're able to just, they're on couches around the room, and you're just able to relate. So I have to say that I'm really grateful for every opportunity to perform.
Awesome. And congrats to you.
Thank you.
So
Thank
what's
you,
next for Nicole Henry? Like what's on your plate?
I have, so every year I have, or for the last 7 years, this will be my 8th annual winter concert. I've been doing a concert that's always a fundraiser in Miami, and it was Miami Beach because for the longest time when I started getting international, there wasn't a lot of venues on Miami Beach, which is where I started my career. There weren't enough venues to like for a ticketed concert. And so I started this after doing a CD release concert there, I started this tradition out of friends' recommendation. So I have the 8th annual winter concert coming up December 19th.
Oh.
But where in the past, it was, of course, just for those 400 people that, thank God, sold it out every year. But now it's going to be virtual. We're going to record the concert down at Pinecrest Gardens, and we're going to stream it internationally. So that's coming out December 19th. So putting that together and producing that.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited.
Yes,
I
me
gotta
too.
tune in.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Please do. Yes, my 7-piece band. We got like 7 cameras doing the whole. It's gonna be like a TV concert, So it's a big production, but I'm really excited.
That's
and
awesome.
Play music live. It's like we're not doing that now, so.
Yeah, it's because of the pandemic. It's a whole different reality. So okay.
Total. Yeah.
So what would you tell your younger self, and how old would you be?
Well, I'm like Benjamin Buttoning it, so I'm getting younger and younger every day.
Girl, I see it, honey.
Honey, I'm trying. No, but if I, what I would do is if I could go back and tell myself, give myself some advice, the most important thing, and I try to say this to kids every time I talk to, groups of children, is I would tell myself to continue to ask for help. Because I in my life, I felt like I've just had to do it all alone or by myself. And that's a self-imposed excuse. I don't know why I feel that way, if it's just I'm independent or I'm hard-headed or something. But, anytime we ask for help from people that love and appreciate us, they're always willing to help. And I haven't gotten where I've gotten in my career doing it by myself. People have always helped me get a distribution deal, help me do, it's always been a lot of help around me. But if I would have asked for help and more often early on, I think that, you just, first of all, you get to enjoy it with more people. And then I think you get further, I'm sure you get further along if you really get that. Yeah. And I think sometimes in my mind, I grew up thinking, oh, well, you're smart and your mom's working 3 jobs. You can figure it out. You're going to do it by yourself. But you have to ask for help. You have to ask for help. So that's what and I guess I would say that probably at the age that my parents got separated, when I felt like, oh, I don't want to bother mommy, at age 11, I would say, Nicky, keep talking to mom, keep talking to adults, keep talking to your teachers and ask for that help. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Shout out to your mother. Like, she has been so inspirational and so like influential in your life. So shout out to her, and hopefully she'll see this and she'll feel like extra warmth in her heart. So
thank you.
Thank you
I'll
so
share.
much, and I'll be tuned in for the concert. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. So the concert is December 18th. It's virtually. How can we tune in or find out more about it?
Sure. You can go to my website. Well, actually, it's being added like this week. Tickets are going to go on sale next week. So, but you can go to NicoleHenry.com and just sign up for my email list, or you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Nicole Henry Music. And I'll continue to put the announcements out there, but we're high time for the next 5 weeks of just promoting, and we'll be out there. So yes, you and all your family around the world can join us.
Yes, yeah. Like my daughter, she's so obsessed with Christmas.
Oh, fun!
She's been counting down since like March of this year, so like we're in Christmas mode right now.
How precious! Please do. Yes, it's all kinds of music: jazz, pop, soul, holiday music, Christmas music. Yes, so yeah,
every genre.
Nicky,
thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
And you're just beautiful, and thanks for your energy. I love it.
Thank you. So we'll see you in a few weeks.
Plan. All right. And I'll be younger then.
You looking right now, girl. Stop. Okay. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
So this show is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. And we have 2 special guests for next week. We'll be talking natural hair It's none other than Miss Jessie's and Nefertiti's Secrets. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week, and